in 1963 had shells which were emblematic of St. James, and there were 28 of them on the wall. You've got to do something sometimes when you're bored during the sermon. And so I often counted the shells. So we replaced that, and the painting up there is an Eichholz painting from the 1870s. It's the only one he had ever done like that. And it's hanging in the church in the front wall, and it was just not very recognizable or identifiable. And so we were wondering, what could we do with it, because we were using the space, wanted to use the space where the painting was for video projection. And so we brought it over here and just stood with the sexton on a ladder holding the painting up, and it just, really brings out the room. We had an additional aesthetic consultant, Tom Hills Cook, who worked on a lot of the small design issues, and with Tom Henman there's Venetian plaster on the wall up front and in the hallway, and you got to feel that as you go by to really appreciate it. And then the surround for the picture. Claire Brothers did the lighting and sound system that's in here, so we have an LED light shining on the painting, so it's not going to do anything with deteriorating and recognizing the need to preserve that sort of thing. They did some wonderful work in the 360-degree room. You can appreciate what's there, not just have the priest get the best view in the house. Transparency, as you look out there, these were solid wood doors, and the glass in those windows leading out to the cloister area was the same as these. So now we've created transparency on flows.
During a really intensive storm period, there's a safety component where the water does in fact go back into the city's combined system, only when necessary, but most storms are handled right here on the property.
And we had one 3-inch deluge within a short time. It was all absorbed. I don't know what kind of storm we have, Agnes or something, might spill over, but it has great absorption capacity.
If I can add just one more thing related to the site, we also, there was a conscious attempt to recycle materials. And so within the courtyard, in addition to those permeable pavers, you'll see recycled brick, stone tiles that were incorporated into the architecture of the structure were later used as a paved material in front of the rectory, were now incorporated as decorative elements. And, some old window coverings that were on the parish house have been repurposed as gates into the rectory.
How deep did you have to go down to the water table, and what kind of diameter pipes were you using to get rid of this stormwater?
Well, we were already excavating to create the foundation for the new building addition, and that was a depth of 12 feet. And then that new edge was waterproofed, and so I think most of that area was then backfilled with stone. I'd have to check into the pipe size diameters.
Wait, you look down. I mean, at least what was it?
All 2010?
Yeah.
Well, I know design meetings started as early as 2009.
Right. Yeah. And then construction, I guess, was
quite a
few years. Yeah, it seems like such an ongoing process. But yeah, the construction took us from one summer we started, and then was finished by the end of the next summer.
Right.
And so it was about a year altogether until it was finished. But it was an intense part of that. And this was a work site, and in here, this was just a very dirty and dusty room with construction.
And despite all of that, we never missed a service.
Right.
I think that's an important.
Nor a funeral.
Nor a funeral. Yeah. We had a couple weddings while the church was under construction.
Yeah,
So everyone, I think, deserves a big ounce of credit.
Yeah, it's a real big.
Keeping the church going despite all of the major work that was going on.
Yeah. Sanctuary is dark at night. Our windows are lit from the inside, and so we look like a light on top of the hill here in the city, not just the dark spots at night. The lights you see lit now are inexpensive theatrical lights, but they suck up a lot of electricity, about $5,000 a pop. For for each one, but they're on for a lot of time, and they don't use hardly any electricity. So it probably doesn't cost us more $1 a night to light the windows in here. It certainly doesn't generate any heat, and it makes it a very beautiful space for the people outside to see that there's activity. The floor here is, the flat floor was put in the 1900s with the Mercer tile. This level was put in to raise things up in the 1960s, and then we added this level so there's a better view from the congregation to see. Now with the camera they can see it projected on that, and it makes a lot more involvement within the parish. You can see where the stone was cut here and then sunk back into the floor to give you the feeling of the same area, but to eliminate a trip hazard. They needed to run, electric wires to light here for the inside light on the windows, and for our outside lights, they needed to run the electric cabling. So this woodwork was done to blend in with it, and it looks like it's been here forever. So it's a way to tie things in. The electrical wires for the lights up there were all run up through the ductwork before we put the shells on them. Just not noticing them because they were so attracted to what's outside. Let's walk outside and we'll have it stood out. So as that sort of level of detail, and we tried to tie the fencing and the gates together. The gates just to try and, we don't want people coming back here at night, so they can if they want to, but that discourages.
And that is backfilled with stone along the water to infiltrate in between them. The pattern that's created with these crisscrossed areas, that's the recycled brick that was mentioned earlier, reused from other walkways and so forth that had been here previously. And just above the baptismal font, I don't know if you noticed inside, are these tiles along that North Duke Street wall.
Will be connected with the service and what's going on. The fountain was designed by our architect and in consultation with the fountain designer. Kind of mimics our font inside, and can also be used for baptisms at some point. So it gets tied together very nicely with things. Of course, it's a little bit of, the guts of the thing are in the basement, and so as best we can tell, it's probably the longest occupied church house in the state. Most churches just don't do that anymore, but we have stuck with that, and it's been very valuable. But this ties it together for party space and continuity. This came about through part of the design process as we were wondering what to do and how to do things. And one of our parishioners, Pete Slough, with Berkshire Hathaway Real Estate now, said, you need to get a big bang from the street view, and how are you going to do that? And so it led to expanding the project to tie these areas together. So it kind of grew and grew on what we were doing, but it certainly makes a huge impact. Saturday night after the service, we'll serve wine and lemonade out here. And as I was setting up, people are walking by and see the bottles of wine. Well, what's going on in here tonight? I said, well, if you've gone to the service, you can come and have a glass of wine with us afterwards. But he hadn't gone to the service.